ये होता है ना माइक का दोनों। बोलो। सही है। लवली।
सुनो, दूसरा माइक है। हेलो हेलो, रवलीन बोलो कुछ। माइक तो ऑन है मेरा। अरे इसमें वायर में दिक्कत है, देखो। अरे चल मैं बता रहा हूँ, माइक में दिक्कत मैं बता रहा हूँ, वायर चेंज कर देता हूँ।
Question. Recurring theory, listening to lecture after lecture really prepare you for the true business world. Here's a hint. So, what will? Think about it. If medical students are trained in real hospitals with real patients, then why should learning be needed? This is master.
हेलो हेलो।
रवलीन का भी चलेगा।
ये लगवाना है। हेलो 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 हेलो। दोनों चल रहे हैं, दोनों। हेलो 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 माइक चेक। हेलो हेलो हेलो।
He's talking about how we learn finance by running our own 5 crore fund where we invest in startups, equities, and even in real estate.
हो गया।
From those
क्या दिक्कत
success to motorcycle service solutions, pharmaceutical supply chains to Golgappa franchisees. Some
है?
businesses
अब डबल
work,
डबल
some
क्या लगूंगा? उसको बोलना
but
कम लगो,
learning by
हम ना
that's how it always works.
नहीं हुआ। वो मेरा वायर लगा, इसमें एक की आवाज आ रही है।
ये दोनों का लगा तो कैसे आएगा आवाज?
मतलब
Navigating complexity, mass
आवाज आ
and
रही?
leading
कनेक्ट तो कर इसको, कैमरे से आएगी ना इसमें तो।
हाँ, ये
इसमें क्यों लगा रहे हैं? तेरा माइक ये है।
You are not a leader if
कनेक्ट हुआ?
when it comes
अरे यहाँ तो शो कर रहा है।
and the list goes on. Concepts like design thinking, presentations, through the process of designing an actual AK-47. Yeah, this innovative teaching method has been seniors like Microsoft, Wave, BCG.
हेलो हेलो। लवली सेवन। ऑडियो चेक फाइनल कर लो सब चीजों में।
भी आ रही है, इसमें आ रही है, दोनों आ रही है। इंडिया से करने चल ही रहा है। उसमें को बस अंडरस्टैंड अब यार
करेक्ट। नहीं नहीं मेरे को बस
Lecture after lecture, really prepare you for the true business world. Here's it.
हेलो हेलो, चेक चेक माइक चेक। ठीक है?
पिछली वाला कहाँ गया?
नहीं
Masters both inside
चेक करना है अभी। ये चल रहा है?
ऑडियो इज फाइन। वन टिकट हाँ। ओह शिट। Her mic was in forever. हाँ, two speakers on stage and we were two speakers together. Rajiv Singh was saying कि बुलाएंगे एक एक करके बस जाए. But then we'll have to transfer the mic. वो जाना है. हाँ, first half. ठीक है, one camera, like one recorder on her on fixed.
Long.
It goes in. Okay, then we'll take it from. हाँ, we'll take it. Sir, Tushar, Saurabh. Done.
He's talking about how we're running a more fund where we invest in startups, equities, and even in real estate.
Wow. From those
Hello, 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 hello. रवलीन वाला भी ले आओ. रवलीन वाला. अच्छा. Till the next. Let me just cut. Last minute change. Done. Hello. Hello, mic check.
Rahul?
Mic check.
Check. Done. Sorted.
Okay, one quick thing. So she said सबसे पहले रवलीन whatever प्रथम दूसरा
Mic देने का right one. Oh, sorry, you are the left one. You are the right.
thanks.
Left one.
So stop waiting to begin and start learning.
right here, this is Vision. I'll see you on the other side.
Listen, now where's the link of the live thing and send it to my family? Maybe it should be said also it was a face.
So this talk like this and
I will never forget that. You want water? I can't use some water. They have kept water. This ले लूँ मैं? हाँ? this ले सकती हूँ मैं? हाँ. दे दो. इवन कुछ आने का? Thank you. मेरे पास है. क्या चाहिए?
बाहर चलो, अभी जरूरत है क्या?
ले लो आप हीरोज ले लो भी बाहर.
which stuff actually makes it
एक्चुअली एंट्री शॉट चाहिए मुझे.
हाँ, बहुत सारे लोग आ रहे हैं.
मेरे साइड है.
Lecture after lecture, really prepare you for business. Here's it. So, think about it. Medical students, think by you doctor.
मुझे आई थी पता नहीं नर्वस है जो भी है उसकी सांस के बाद हमें सुनाई ओके सुनाई दे रही है
Actually, I think. Are you comfortable? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They can hear your breathing. Like breathing heavy. Normally I do that. If you want, we can do it here. मैंने breathing से difficult है मेरे लिए. In general. So do you want? क्योंकि वो आवाज आ रही है. What's that for? Job is difficult.
Why are you stressing?
No, I'm not stressing. I'm usually hard of breathing. I'm usually hard of breathing. This is my normal.
You okay?
Okay. This is my normal. Check audio. Where is Rahul?
Can you please also mention keep your cell phone on silent?
हाँ. Yeah.
A very good afternoon, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome you all to the Family Business Transformation Conclave hosted by Masters Union. Today is about more than just discussions. It's about connecting, learning, and discovering how family businesses can thrive across generations. We are here to explore how we can not only preserve legacies, but transform them into dynamic, sustainable enterprises ready for the future. Today, you'll hear from some of the best minds in business, all of whom have walked the journey of family businesses and have valuable insights to share. Let me quickly walk you through what we have planned for the day. We'll kick things off with an inspiring keynote address. Then we'll dive into three engaging sessions covering scaling family businesses, driving growth through innovation, and wealth management strategies. After that, we'll break for lunch, networking, and a guided campus tour. We'll reconvene post lunch at 2:45 p.m. for an immersive session to explore topics like defining your company's vision, future proofing your business, and building strong teams. After that, we'll move on to session 5, where we'll hear from a next generation leader about breaking boundaries and leading family businesses to new heights. Finally, at 4:45 p.m., we'll summarize the key takeaways from the day, and from 5:15 p.m., you can enjoy high tea and more networking. It's going to be a day full of insights and connections, and I'm sure you're as excited as we all are to get started. Take us forward. Let's hear from someone whose entrepreneurial spirit and bold vision has redefined business education in India. He built Masters Union as not just a business school, but also a movement, a place where the lines between industry and academia blur and where the leaders of tomorrow are shaped. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage the founder of Masters Union, Mr. Pratham Mishra.
Hello, everyone. It's a very large room for a relatively smaller audience. But good to see everyone. Welcome. So I'm a third generation family business entrepreneur. I don't even know if I can call myself an entrepreneur, to be honest. My grandfather had started a sweet shop in Jalandhar called Lovely Sweets. Has anyone heard of it? People have? Okay, awesome. So it was a very small sweet shop. Let me actually show it to you. This is what the sweet shop looked like in the 60s. This is where my dad essentially was brought up. When he was young, he actually used to man the counter, right? So all the cash in, cash out he used to do. And I've heard lots of very interesting stories about it. Um, when my dad grew up, he started a Maruti dealership. This is also in Jalandhar. Uh, has anyone ever bought a Maruti in their lives? Of course you have. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody has. There's a good chance that if you were in the north, outside of Delhi, so Haryana, Punjab, Kashmir, Himachal, you probably bought it from us. So my dad expanded this business quite a bit to almost 100 outlets across the north. It's a very interesting journey he had. Finally, he started India's first university called NTU. I don't know if you've heard of this. Everyone, I'm sure, if you watch cricket, you would have heard of it because we used to advertise in IPL quite a bit. So lovely professional university is also in Jalandhar. Right. So this was my father who was the co-founder. He was second generation. Now I am third generation. And I'm sure you would have heard this story that the first generation builds it, right? The second generation consolidates it, and then the third generation completely destroys it. Uh, that's my family, by the way. I'm not in it. I was studying abroad at that time, but I don't know if you can spot my parents. Can you? From the facial cues. Which one? Yeah, your left. Correct. Those are my parents. Uh, but yeah, so first generation builds, second consolidates, and third completely destroys. We have heard this. Has anyone heard this before? Everyone's heard this before. And I think data proves that it's actually true. I don't have the exact data, but I can tell you from my family experience, our family business experience, and I'm being incredibly vulnerable here. This was almost true, right? So it was my grandfather. He had three sons. Each of the three sons had two kids each. That means in my generation, there are six of us, right? And you can imagine the soup that all the cooks actually come up with at the end of the day, right? So the first generation builds, second consolidates, third destroys. This was almost about to happen with my family, almost 10 years ago. We were all a very large family business, but not yet a business family. So I'll tell you what used to happen. Um, my cousins and me, I was too young, but all of my cousins used to work with my dad. They all used to disagree with each other. It would always create some sort of tension amongst the brothers. Ye kya ho raha hai, ye kya ho raha hai, right? Bhatija, beta, all of that used to happen quite a bit. I'm being very honest here. I've never spoken about this before. But this happens in every family business, I think, right? Everyone is probably uh, privy to these kind of experiences in family business. I was too. But last 10 years, we have gone through a fundamental change in our family business, like a fundamental change. And there are two things we have completely changed. And those are the two things I want to speak about today, right? The first thing, as I mentioned, is become a business family and not remain a family business, right? They're two same words, but putting them in two different ways completely changes the meaning, right? Everyone's heard of the Raja Beta syndrome? No one would have heard of it. I just came up with this on the way here. But I realized this that if you go back to this picture, what is very awkward in this picture? There's something fundamentally off about this picture. It's very wrong. No, no. Okay, yeah, that's true. How did you know that? No, but there is something, again, very awkward about this picture, which makes this a family business and not a business family. No, something else. Both the photographer ne bola tha. Something else, come on. That's one, I agree. But there is something even more wrong with this picture. Come on. Yes. This is a picture that was taken for India Today. This was the picture that was in the India Today article. Why does the grandson have to be in the picture? He obviously has nothing to do with the business. This is so unprofessional. I saw this picture and I called up my dad and I fought with him. I was like, "Ye kya kar rahe ho?" Right? We have employees, right? They should be given importance. We have team members. They should be given importance. Why is my nephew, who's I think at that time what kitne ka lag raha hai? 2 saal ka? 1.5, 2. What is he doing in the picture? This makes it a family business and not a business family. The Raja Beta syndrome. उसको हम बीच में बिठाएंगे गाड़ी के ऊपर. I think this is fundamentally wrong. And I think this is part of the reason that the third generation starts seeing this downtrend. People in the family, I mean, I know you can feel it, right? A little bit. It's pinching someone at some point, I'm sure. It's to pinch me a lot. It always happens that we have to give something to our daughter. We have to give something to our son. We have to give something equal to the son-in-law. We have to give something equal to the niece, to the bhanja, to the all of bhatija, to everybody, right? There is no merit in family businesses. At least there wasn't in mine. Very, very honestly. The biggest shift we made in the last 10 years was come to terms with the fact that it's not necessary that the children will be the right fits for all the CXO positions, for all the senior positions. And it was very difficult for the second generation to realize that. Right? In fact, I was asked to leave completely. We'll come to that. So first generation builds, second destroys, third destroys, and become a business family, not a family business. Do you know who this guy is? This is Kamin Bharti Mittal. This is Sunil Bharti Mittal's son. And this was a talk I did with him on this stage. You can make the difference, same carpet. A very interesting conversation happened with him, where at the end of the chat, I said, we have these students who are graduating from an MBA program. Can you please get them in Airtel? Can you please get them an interview in Airtel? That's all I asked. He said, boss, even my roommate in college, I couldn't get him an interview in Airtel. Because Airtel is run completely independent of the family. Complete. It's like, I cannot tell the CHRO or the hiring manager there what to do, who to hire, who to interview. That's how much distance we maintain. And that's when I realized they're truly a business family and not a family business. Anybody else? Okay.
You have to create a team who run the business, not get yourself involved with business in that area. So you don't have time even for your.
Absolutely, Ji. Thank you so much for you summarize what everybody else said. You cannot be working in the business. You have to work on the business. And I feel there is this one image that really explains it very well. This is the Tata Sons hierarchy system, their entire organizational structure. If you see, the family just sits at the top, right? They sit on the boards, they sit on the foundations. They hardly involve themselves at all in the day-to-day running. And I know as family business is very hard for us because we feel this is our baby and nobody understands my marble business better than me. That is the case. Even today I feel, as I'm in Masters Union, that nobody can run Masters Union better than me. I know I feel that, but it's a completely wrong feeling. And we have to come to terms with that. We have to start trusting people and we have to start giving away power. Right? So to the extent that now we have built a family constitution in our family. It's a constitution of almost 100 pages, which dictates exactly how the family will behave. And one of the key points in that is that no child of the family will ever be involved in the active day-to-day running of any department of any business. They've completely taken away all of our powers. And I wanted to work day-to-day, so I had to actually come here and start my own business. I could not work in the family business. I wasn't allowed to, just because of the constitution. But that cleans it up really, really well. It removes absolutely any chance of any conflict to ever come in. Families at the board, the family owns the business, but they don't run the business on a day-to-day basis. That frees the family up to think bigger. It frees the family up to think about growth. It frees the family up to actually have a cordial relation versus fight with each other for control, this, that, which happens in all, we read about all of these things, right? So working on the business versus working in the business. You need a constitution. You need a board system. You need the family to come together. You need family to have tough conversations. A lot of the times, these conversations are not going to be easy. They're going to be very emotional, especially with the first generation, the second generation. These are not easy things at all, right? And it took my family 10 years. We started this in 2012. We finished in 2022, right? Those 10 years, we had to almost sit next to each other every Saturday night and have these tough conversations, right? And some people really had to give a lot of their agency away, and some people had to take a lot of responsibility in. But one thing is for certain, that if you want to build a legacy, if you want to go timeless with your business, if you want your business to stay beyond third, fourth, fifth generation, like the Tatas have, or in some, Dabur, etc., they are trying to now, you have to do at least these two things, which is become a business family and not a family business, and work on the business and not in the business. These two things are my major lessons of the last 10 years. I'm sure there are many more lessons to come for me, but these are the two things that need to be done. You're all here at Masters Union. Had you heard of Masters Union before today? Some of you had, right? So Masters Union, we started a new institution where we said, can we go beyond exams, lectures, slides, grades, attendance, books, all of these things, and actually create an institution where students learn by doing, right? So in term one, I'll give you an example. All our students have to build an e-commerce business. And their grades actually come from their revenue, their margin, their profit, their ROAS, their NPS, all the metrics that the real business is measured on. So that's how Masters Union runs, right? In term two, they all build a YouTube channel. In term three, they all build their other kinds of startups, and that's how they're graded, right? It's completely learning by doing. And one of the things we realized that in our MBA program, there were some students from family business background, right? But the thing is, what we were teaching the MBAs made absolutely zero sense to the family business kids. Their challenges are very different. The way they think about marketing, the way they think about finance, and let's be honest, finance and family business means something completely different. It doesn't make sense to them when we talk about investment banking, right? They do a different kind of investment banking. Um, but I think family business problems are fundamentally different. And that's when we realized that India as a country does not have a family business school at all, right? And that's part of the reason these third generations are facing so much heat and so much failure, right? And so that's when we decided to start an experiment with a very small cohort of professionals, of family business professionals, to come together and help us create a new course, a new school altogether to teach family business professionals, right? And that's where we met a lot of the people that you will meet today, later in the day. And I'm very, very excited to kick this off. So thank you, team, first of all. Thank you, everybody, sirs, to make this a reality today. I know this was only a dream, what, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, right? And finally, I think it's here. Hopefully, we can kick this off in a great way today. This is also an opportunity for us to learn from family business professionals what their problems are, and also to share some of our thoughts. And hopefully, we can take their help to create this program moving on from here. But thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope this story was interesting. This story is still a building story. It's not ended yet. So hopefully, every year, we can come together again, and I can give you an update on how is it going. Thank you, everyone. And I'll let you take the stage.
Thank you, Pratham, for that inspiring start to the day. I am sure everyone enjoyed the anecdotes you shared about your own experiences with family businesses. We now dive into our first session, from survival to success, scaling and sustaining the family business. I'm excited to announce Mr. Rajiv Gupta, a leader whose decades of experience have shaped some of the most influential family businesses and global corporations. He's the best-selling author of Travel Company, former CEO of AAA, and has been a senior leader at Reliance and Honda Cars. He's also a proud alumnus of BITS Pilani, FMS Delhi, and Harvard Business School. He's the chair of the board of governors of DGPI's Family Business Transformation Program. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Gupta to the stage.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So, I think Pratham has set the tone for the day by sharing a personal story. And as he said, I think many of the people here may be hearing it for the first time. So, thank you for that, Pratham, setting the tone for today. So, what I'm going to talk about is what you will hear a lot in the course of the day. So, we know what happens to family businesses, and the very fact that so many of you took the trouble, to come all the way to Masters Union means you are already battling or facing some of the challenges. Now, how do we overcome them? But to do that, let's first understand what are the building blocks of a family business. So, do you see something there? So, let's see the first block. Let's talk about the business. What does the business have? First is direction. So, as they say, if you don't know where you are going, any road can take you there. And in several family businesses, you will see that various factions of the family may want to push the business into different directions. So that's the first element. Second is dashboard. So we say measure what matters. Anybody who's worked in a family business or even a large corporation, I always say look at two things: truckloads of data and unread mails in your inbox. Many times I used to just invite some of the people and say, can you just open your inbox, please? And there was a competition. It could vary from 277 to even 900. Because in a family business, we like to copy everybody. And there is this data, that data, dashboard, MIS, balance scorecard. So I think it's very important to measure what really matters. Next is digitization. So we always hear this a lot of time. Data is fine. Can I trust it? Is it manipulated? How do I really rely on this data? So if you have to work with data that you can trust, then the only way is digitization. Next, we come to people. So we are still in the first circle, right? And what is important about people? First is clarity. Sir, please let me know what I am supposed to do today. Because yesterday it was something else, day before it was something else, and tomorrow it again will be something else, right? So I have written this book, which you will be getting, Lala Company, and you'll hear, you can read in this enough examples of how changing directions confuses your A team and has a ripple effect down the line. So here what we are talking about is that if you want to deal with people effectively, please clearly define their KPIs. And if I achieve these KPIs, what's going to happen to me? And if I don't do them, then what is the punitive measure? Then we talk about process and policy, how to do and do's and don'ts. So this was the first circle. Now we come to the second circle. So most of the programs in India or overseas, and we've studied all of that before we did this, they will only talk or largely talk about the first circle. They will talk about the second circle, in somewhat tangentially. So first thing that happens in a family business is intergenerational. Now, I didn't write the word conflict there, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. I, as the father, set up this business, gave it my sweat and blood. I didn't give you time while growing up, but now I have the money and I write that check for you to go to that so called college. It starts with H, right? It's called Harvard. Chalo, if you didn't get into Harvard, go to some other Ivy League. And your son or daughter goes there, learns the stuff, and comes back and tells you, hey buddy, you're outdated, you don't know a thing, it ain't going to work. So intergenerational conflict or dynamic is one piece of the business. Siblings and cousins. So anybody who's been in the business, it all depends, your first gen, second gen, third or fourth. The moment you are third, as Pratham explained, you got like 16 people. And imagine if you're the fourth gen, how many cousins you have to deal with. And there is one single business unit that is feeding all these people. And no two people think alike, right? But what's the difference between a corporatized environment and a family business? If there are two siblings, just imagine, bada bhai, chota bhai. So I am as much of blood as you are. So what if I was born 5 years later? So the rivalry and that, that power struggle is very different from what happens in a corporate. In-laws, we talked about it, and some of you might have experienced. And the other piece is wealth management. So in the first half, we are going to have a session on that. So when we talk about wealth management, there is a wealth of the family. It's first is you have to preserve it, you have to grow it, and you have to unlock what is there. And then it has to be distributed in a equitable way so that you remain united in blood and not thirsty for blood. So most of the business schools do talk about this second circle, to be fair, but not in that much depth. But they definitely touch about family constitution. They will touch about a little bit about family dynamics. But nobody talks about where did the rivalry start from. Did it start when your kids was 5 year old and you were loving the younger one more than the elder one? Did it start when the kid was a teenager? ये तो कुछ नहीं कर पाएगा. There's a movie also, तुमसे ना हो पाएगा. Where did it start? Were the uncles bullying, the kid? Now, I haven't read any literature about this anywhere, despite having written this book and researched so many people. So, where are the roots of the conflict? That's what is very important to understand, because if you don't go to the root, you're not going to cure it. Third circle, self. So, self, what is self? We are not teaching some spirituality over here. So it's a well known fact, and one of my mentors always says, you can only give to the world what is inside of you, which means if you have sadness, you may try to keep a fake smile, but you'll transmit sadness. If you're an anxious, worried, hyperactive boss, you may act out anything based on whatever training and management gyan and leadership programs you've done, but you'll transmit that. Now imagine if you're down in the hierarchy, maybe you're affecting one or two or three people. Maybe of course you're affecting your family, but in a business setting, maybe you're not affecting so many people. Now imagine if you're at the top, if you're the apex person, right? You may be called a director, a chairman, a vice chairman, or you may be somebody without a designation, but everybody knows ye Raja Bachcha hai. Isse bach ke rehna. He is just called manager marketing, but he's my future boss. So this is the part which nobody covers, and it's absolutely critical that we look at this, because all the problems in my company are either because of these people, because they only come and ask for salary and increment and position. Half the problems are also because of this sarkar. They keep changing the policy. And some of the problems are because of my competitors. They are not fair. But is there anything because of me? No, because I am perfect. So, these are some of the traits that we see in the leaders: stress and anxiety. That's what they're transmitting. Okay. Impatience, right? Anger. I don't know, maybe your owners, but if you ask the employees, you ask them deeply. One thing which has changed from the time I graduated, it was just the starting of liberalization. If you got a job, you're very happy. You had a job with one of the 4 5 business families, and it was as good as getting into the civil services. Situation has changed dramatically. So those thumping tables, humiliations don't work anymore. But if your self is not well managed and the company is not doing well and targets are being missed and cash flow is not good, if your self is not in order, you're going to do that, right? And then of course family time and mental uh, physical and emotional well-being. And last 2 points is focused and consistency, because many of the family businesses suffer from one thing. You discuss something in a board meeting. In the next board meeting, the things have changed. Now, if this was in a corporate environment, you could say, hang on, let's pull out the minutes of the meeting. This wasn't discussed. This is what it is, and this is how we're going to proceed. Can you tell that to an owner? Meri marzi, right? So this lack of focus, this lack of consistency also brings a lot of entropy in the company. Now, why are we talking about all this? That too as the first session, of course, after the keynote. So let me tell you some quick answers. Why at all we are talking about this? So first is, as I said, that I want everybody in this room to acknowledge that the first circle B is not enough. The second is also not enough. The C is absolutely, the third circle of self is absolutely critical. Two, if you want to solve any problem, you have to have the right root cause analysis. So when I was a teenager, I lost a cousin, okay, through a family doctor who was a trusted, he had a nursing home. And that example, because, we didn't know so much about ventilators and all that. And the doctor was a trusted fellow, but he gave him antibiotics on the second day of the fever. And he was actually having jaundice. And in jaundice, if you take antibiotic, your liver can't disintegrate it. So this, I think, 22-year-old chap died. So early in life, I realized one thing. If you don't know the diagnosis, don't treat. No treatment is better than wrong treatment. What you think is medicine can actually be poison. So what we want to talk about here is, you may say people is the problem, but actually the problem might be sibling rivalry. So you're barking on the wrong tree. So purpose of this structure is that to open your mind that the problem may be somewhere other than where you are searching. Third, the chain is as strong as the weakest link, right? And I will just demonstrate it and explain it a little later how. And something strange about these three circles, just yesterday I was thinking about it. You start from any circle and you can either go clockwise or go anti-clockwise. So let's do an experiment. Okay, so anybody, shall we start? Shall we start with self? Okay, it's the third circle. So shall we go clockwise or anti-clockwise? Clockwise. Anti-clockwise? Clockwise. So suppose your self is not well managed. You're that table thumping, abusive boss and always creating entropy. So which circle should we go to next? Clockwise or anti-clockwise? Let's go clockwise. So will that affect the business? Why? I have a manufacturing, I have a good brand, I have finance. If I am not well managed, how should it affect the business? Will it or will it not? Whom will it affect first? Your people. Your people will say, sir, thanks a lot for the kind money that you give me, but I return your kindness and I'll write something on the social media and ensure that good professionals don't come and work for you. Right? Just one example. And also, it will affect your direction, because if you're not focused, aaj kuch, kal kuch, parso kuch, right? So it's going to affect the business. But will it affect the third circle? If the business is not doing good, will the love increase among family members? The rift will only increase. Because of you, all the mess is happening. Now, if the family is messed up and your cousin says something nasty to you, it's like adding fuel to the fire which we started. So you start from any circle and go in any direction, you'll see a spiraling effect of either the positivity or the negative. Let's take a positive spiral. Suppose your business is doing well. All the things in that first B is right, in the first circle is right. Family relations will be good and your self will also be good, right? So that's how this works. And the other thing is that we always talk about the hard stuff. finance, sales, supply chain, right? And we forget two things, that behind this elaborate machinery, you may get the best robotic system, automated assembly line, the best R&D, but is there a human being behind that? There is, right? So the balance of the hard and soft is what distinguishes between a successful and a not so successful business, right? And that's what I said, that if you start from anywhere, the chain is as strong as the weakest link, so be mindful. And my last point is, the purpose of showing this to you is because as we go ahead in the day and look at various sessions, we're going to be touching upon all this. There'll be a talk about dashboard, there'll be talk about digitization, there'll be talk about family, there'll be a talk about wealth. So this is just a starting framework, that if you really want to succeed, first, whatever is your definition of success, if you want to scale or expand, and if you want your business to be surviving across generations, you got to get this piece right. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Hope I'm loud and clear. Okay, great. So I'm Tushar Arora. I'm the Joint Managing Director and CEO of Abilities India Pistons and Rings, as you can see there. And I went to college at Virginia Tech, raised in Delhi, and did my engineering from there, electrical, and then worked in the US for about 4 years at two companies, Philip Morris in manufacturing and at Ferguson Enterprise, which is a warehousing company in automation. And from there, I went and did my MBA at University of Pittsburgh. It was a one-year MBA. And then I came back in 2010 and joined the family business. So dad didn't know I was going to come back or not. So he's quite happy I was coming back. So that was a good thing for him. And of course for me too, since I'm standing here and giving a talk. And a little bit about the company. So these are the products we make, as you can see. So we do aluminum and cast iron parts. We do pistons, piston rings, and diversified into electronics and various aluminum components that go into electric assemblies. And these are our direct OEM customers, Maruti, Yamaha. So we're 60% domestic, 40% exports. Okay, so that's a little bit about me and the company. So question for you guys. How many of you really wanted to be here? Raise your hands. Okay, great. How many of you were forced to be here? Yeah? Okay, one speaker was forced. How many of you were forced by your parents by any way? Anybody here? No? Bada diligent hai, everyone's quite okay. I hope you're all speaking the truth in that way. So another question. What do you guys want to get out of this session? What are you looking for? Anybody wants to share? Yeah? in the business or for you? Okay, great. Anybody else? Anyone? Oh, I need a few more. Yeah. Okay. Okay. He's back now? Yeah. Okay. Great. Great. Anybody else? Okay. So you're all, I'm assuming, are all willing to scale their businesses to the next level and want to do so while keeping sane. Yeah. Okay. Fair. So I'll talk about three broad points here. Okay. So first, I'll share, since I came back in 2010, the challenges that I faced and how I got my own roots into my own business or family business to become en route to becoming a business family, as Pratham said, and uh, how and why we started focusing on digitization and the role it played in transformation within the organization and its people. And the third point that I'll say is how we aligned with everybody within the organization, the family, and how we are working towards sustainability. So these are the three main points I'll cover. So starting with the first one on how it was. So I came back 2010, of course, working 4 years outside, seeing a different way of automation and everything being crazy amount of scale, and coming back to a family business. So I came back, and we had all these processes, as you can see, and I have no clue because I'm electrical engineer, but I worked in Philip Morris, which is manufacturing. So I say, why are you doing everything manually? Everything should be automated. So he's like, okay, great, now you studied, now you're telling me what to do. So rule number one, don't tell people who are in the business working for years that they're not doing it right. That's your first way out of the door. Okay, so I was shunned instantly. इसको कुछ नहीं पता, बस ये पढ़ के आ गया. That was the story. Okay, so that happened. So that was a lesson for me. So we had in our business, it was my father, myself, my sister worked for a bit, then she had gone to study, so I was there filling the gap, and then my chacha and his son was also studying at that point, so eventually he was also going to join, and my chacha's father, so my dada fufa. Everybody's good with Hindi, right? Okay, good. So we joined, and my chacha was always taking care of finances. My father was always the operations and the decision maker in a way related to whatever's going on in quality and everywhere. And then my chacha was all bank and this and finances and cost structures and everything. Okay. So as soon as I joined, maybe about a week or in, so I was given the TS manual, ki ye pad lo, you'll understand what's going on in the company, and then you find your way. I said, okay, great. So there is no succession or anything planned. So you find your way. Okay, fine. So I take a manual. It's 150 pages, and everything's gibberish to me. So I read page by page. Even after reading, I couldn't really understand anything. So that's it. Okay, great, wonderful. Now I know everything about the company, but I really know nothing. So I started going to our morning meeting, which was at 10:30. Everybody would walk in 10:30, 10:35, 10:40, 10:45. And my chacha walked in at 10:50 and started wailing away at everyone कि ये नहीं होता, वो नहीं होता. And then he got a lot of flack back. He did it for 10 days, then he gave it up. He's like, yaar, ye to. So I was observing because I was quiet because I didn't know. And we have people, because it's an old company. So we started in the year 1968. So it's 56 years now. I'm third gen, right? Started by my great grandfather who started and passed away. So he didn't really start much, but it was my grandfather and everyone, right? So all this happened. So I'm observing that this is happening. And then I understand and I realize that we have to get through. So you can't criticize. And then how do you get your work done? So eventually you find something, you get ideas. So I was told automation can't happen. So I did my research to find out how it can be done or what can be done to make it cost effective. What are the things that are stopping us? So I had to do some research. I had to reach out to my few friends. We had a small community that I could reach out to, which is very helpful for anyone to have if you're in a family business. So if you don't have one, make one. If you can't make one, find one, because that will be your sounding board, which is very important. Since you all guys are here in Masters Union or affiliative, it is a place where family businesses, people who are running the show, getting together, it helps you a lot because someone's doing something better than you and vice versa, right? So found my way, did that, and then I realized that if you want to get your word through, you need to study, right? You need to realize what's happening, learn the processes. So did all of that anyways. Well, that's what I thought, right? So that happened. Then since I realized that nobody has the time to actually teach you, so you find a mentor, right? Now, how do you find a mentor? Somebody who's been through it, who can guide you, so you don't have to keep fighting with anybody who's there, or getting criticism is not easy, especially when you've studied so much and you realize everybody's criticizing, right? So you do that. So we are a part of ACMA, which is Automotive Component Manufacturers Association. They have cumulative teaching programs where 6 to 8 companies get together to reach a common goal. So we had a cluster called the engineering cluster. Okay. In that, 8 companies got together and I was made the coordinator. So coordinate someone who will not make any decision, who has to listen to the top boss, who's the cluster CEO, which was my plant head. My father was said, "Ye dekhega, ho gaya." CEO make the decision, and niche whoever has to be done. So the coordinator job is to ensure what is happening is actually happening, and if it's not done, you Saurav also just she told me that okay, it's hard right now, but the point is, will you be happy once you achieve it? Will that mean something to you? I said yes, of course. So that was like a like a thing that okay, you have to persevere. So that was the biggest thing. So if you believe in something, if you know you're going to do it right, you have to persevere. I think that's the biggest thing. And for that, you need support of your family, right? Whoever it is, you have to, confide in someone. So that was a big learning for me. So we started the cluster, and cluster was hands-on. So eventually, after 3 months, I realized I'm falling flat on my face. That means you have to learn, you have to get your hands dirty. So I did. So every process, everywhere, whatever's happening, I was like, I'm going to be there. I'm only going to observe. So after observations and everything and really learning, so in about a year and a half or two, I learned so much that eventually I knew where to catch people. But that's how I found my way. So I was a coordinator and eventually learned the process of what's going on. And once people realize that he's going to put in the time and he's going to put in the effort and he will make sure that things will happen, they don't take you for granted anymore. Suddenly, you're not somebody they can shun off. Suddenly, he's someone who's serious. So people will test your mettle always. So you have to be prepared to stand up because it's a battle of which wall is going to push which way in the beginning. And once you push through that way, you are a part of it, right? So that's the importance of it. So once I did that, so after 2 years, I would say after being a coordinator, I did another cluster where I was made the CEO, and then we did something and we did something and we did something. So I learned about machines, we learned about processes, we learned about quality, we learned about everything, but there was never anything about people, never, right? So while doing all this, everything kept happening here and there, right? And then during the clusters, the biggest boon that happened was that when something, because I had learned a bit, so anything that would go around, I would sit with my father and discuss. What do you think about it? What do you think about it? Right? And he would say, see, these things, some of them I also don't know because he was always running the show. He never had the time because he was thrown in, right? So he said, you figure it out and you let me know what's the best way. So that was a very positive feedback that I got that you figure it out, I'll be there. But on the way, as people see that you are getting in, you will have people that will come and fill ears here or there. Okay. That Rajiji says in the book also. When I read, I was like, oh my God, it's everywhere. So they will fill ears. And the best way to counter that, I would say for us, I didn't get it for a month or so. But then I realized is that whoever's filling ears, I was like, Dad, please call him. I want to talk to him too in front of you. So that's how the filling year stopped. And then he also realized that if I say to him or I say to my father or whoever, it's the same thing. So then all that backbiting and all that slowly went away. And then people start confiding in you because that was like the succession that, okay, he's taking care of this and this decision will be made by him. Because even when we were in a meeting together, I said, you blast me off in front of everyone, I have no problem. But the decisions, if it's my domain, the decision I will take. Even if you don't like it, agree there and tell me later. Okay, so that was, this alignment has to happen. And we've had many fights about it. He didn't agree at first, but I showed him that this is what's happening. And eventually you realize, so the hard conversations have to happen, and they have to be happening at the right time, where people are in the right mind space, not when you're bickering already. So that's an important thing we did, right? And even to date, this keeps happening all the time. So wherever we lose step, we keep aligning. And it's very important, right? So while I was doing all this coordination, now moving on to point two, I realized that if I needed something, the data was always being made. I was like, how is someone making data and I'm analyzing data when he's already making data for what he wants me to find out? I mean, that's ridiculous, right? किसी से भी डेटा मांगो 3 दिन चाहिए सर, 2 दिन चाहिए सर. The only place where I could get data in quickly, or it was there, is not being made, was in quality. So we knew where we were at in quality, right? Okay, the sheets were bad. You had to always clean them up to get a proper table, because people did never ever get proper Excel training or whatever, right? So that was difficult. But eventually, when that happened, we realized that we need proper data for manufacturing, we need proper data for quality, and we needed proper data from machines. Nobody should be feeding data, because once you start feeding data, it all goes wrong, right? Because once you mess up one thing, the whole purpose of the meeting goes to nothing, because the data is, as you said, no sanctity, right? So we started that, and once we started that, we wanted to learn the best way and the cheapest way to do it, because small businesses never have money, and if you go to someone, I want crores of rupees to do some digitization, money is like, get lost, right? I rather buy a new machine. So that's simple answer. IT and all that is still, at that time, was not a part of productive spending. I would put it like that, right? So we took a training on Google. Okay, simple. We took a training from a guy called Sanjeev Jain, who has a company called TNS. The reason I'm saying it, if you all need that, write it down, right? Huh? COIT box, yes. Okay. So we did that in 2018, where he was just starting. Now I had a passion for things to be done easily, so that the burden goes away from someone to enter data in the last minute for audits, for compliance, or for sharing, right? So we started that. So what happened was, it was like an Excel on the cloud, but the front face, what you had was, everything for an entry was a Google form, and it had automation in it. So whenever you fill something, an automatic reminder will go, like how you order on Amazon or Domino's or whatever, right? You do your entry and you get an automated reminder, this is done, this data has been saved, or if you want to escalate it, this mail has gone to someone, right? That's all we did. And we started doing everything based on that. Okay, so I'll come back to this slide later, and to this also. So these are some dashboards. Okay, these are 6 of them here. We have like 25, 30 of them, right? Depending on what we do. So at that time, we made dashboards and data entries for things that were difficult at that point to get. So any data that we weren't getting, and that was needed all the time, so that we don't have to ping anyone. So we made Google form entries, and everything was given on a phone as a small app. So every form was an app on the phone of every supervisor and every person on a, basically an associate and above. Everybody had their app, and it was so easy to do. A Google form and everything is made in 10 minutes. You give it and it's done. And they fill the entry, you get the data in the sheet, and you automate the sheet to make these dashboards, and you don't have to ever open the sheet. So there's thousands and lakhs of lines of data which nobody has to care about, because everything is here. You want to drill down, you get Data Studio, which is again a free tool, and you get all that data here. And the amount of money we spend on this, we have 80 licenses, you pay 1500 bucks a license a year, and you have all this. That's all you spend. Okay, you get the training, that's expensive, but it's worth it, right? So you use this and you have all your data entries quickly, and nobody can fudge it because you have timestamps. Nobody has access to even open the sheet, so you have everything at a click of a button. My father still doesn't use it. If he wants something, he'll mail the IT guy, he'll send in the report. But he knows the report will come in 5 minutes. That's all he cares about. He's like, I don't want to learn all this. I said, great. But he tom-toms about it to everyone that we made it. Okay? Okay. So that's the good part about it. Now, let me tell you an advantage of this. So we have breakdowns, right? Our biggest thing was breakdowns. Now the breakdown data, who makes? Maintenance. Now tell me, why will he make data that will show that he is not doing well? Any reason? Zero reason, right? So like how Domino's made you order your own pizza on the app, earlier you used to call, there were chances that you would get the wrong pizza many a times, wrong order many a times. So they transferred their job to you, but in return you got good service. So we did the same thing. We made the people on the shop floor fill in the Google form for the breakdown. So once it's there, nobody can fudge it. And now once it's done, maintenance will fill it. Okay, they can mess around with the time, but they can't mess around with the numbers. And if they mess around with the time, of feedback goes, boss, this guy has done the breakdown, he's filled in 30 minutes. Are you agreeing or are you disagreeing? Simple. You will click on the phone, the mail will come, the button is there in the mail. He will click yes or no. So we know how many are real, how many are not, because he knows there's a feedback loop. And all this doesn't stop working. Why? Because this guy will always have a problem. That guy knows he has to fill it because he sent it. And this guy knows that I can't, lie about it because he has a feedback. So we had so much breakdown. Earlier, the breakdown was shown was in few hours. We had days of breakdown. Days. Days. We knew it was days. Everybody knew it was days, but just now it was in your face. Okay. So now, what was the role of management? Do we go take a danda and say you were lying all these years? Will that help anything? Nothing. So we learned the art of patience. Okay. Now we know that this is there. This is wrong. We now know it's wrong and it's real because nobody is fudging it. And whoever is breaking it actually has a problem. So now it needs to be fixed. Okay. Now you tell us how it needs to be fixed because it's your job. So that learning of patience is an art and it's need to be had. And Rome was not built in a day. And that's the most important thing you should remember. Okay, right? So that's how digitization helped. That was one problem. Okay, so once we did this, then we said, okay, boss, now entered data is coming automatically and can be used and it's helpful. Okay, great. So let's do it for other stuff. Let's do it for leave. Let's do it for calibration. Let's do it for die maintenance. Let's do it for everything. So the plant actually came up with a list of 25 things they wanted to get done because it would help them after 6 months. And those 6 months were a struggle to get the first sheet also started because the data entry was always bakwas. So there is always a pushback from people, but they don't realize how helpful it is for them. And the reality, believe me, the owners always know the reality. It's just that the getting the way across is poor, always poor, right? Or it's always in anger or always in impatience. So that has to change. That is a learning that everybody has to get. We got it the hard way. So while doing the preparation for the prep, I was realizing the first 6 years in my company, I was a glorified coordinator, nothing else. That's a fact. And that I realized while writing the notes. Okay, so I'll come back to the next one. So after this dashboard was made, we worked with the company to get live data out of the machine because entry is still being done. That was goal one, to get data live. Second goal was to get data from the machine. Now, any of you who are in a software business or in a textile business or anything, right? Try to automate your data entries. That's what I would say, because that would give you a crazy transparency. And eventually, when we started our OEE, which is called the operational equipment efficiency, which means how productive your machine really is. On paper in Excel, it was 94. Toyota is at 82. We were at 94. Just saying, just saying. And nobody was willing to admit that it's wrong. It was obviously wrong, right? So we said, okay, fine, let's start this. So, and the good thing we did that we did not choose the system. We got 8 to 10 companies to demo a system and we told them, boss, your 44, 34 entries will go away because machine will get the data. It will remind you when to enter the data again. Your quality data will be reminded. If it doesn't work, the machine will stop. So either you put fuzzy data or do whatever. First, you start putting data. We didn't care if it's right or wrong. Start doing the work on time. That was the first goal. So they agreed. And eventually, what number you see now at 77.69, our first month, this was at 32. So that 94 number was actually a 32. That means I am using 24 hours of the day, out of which only 30% are productive. Can you imagine where we were? We were growing at 4, 5, 3% a year somehow. Somehow. That's how it was, right? It's a fact, right? So this happened. So we started this in casting. First thing that changed in casting is after this thing happened, after a few days of data, we saw that at night between 3 and 6, no machine is running. Everyone's sleeping on the shop floor, but the numbers are made. Okay, how is it made? So they used to show fake rejection, but production is full. Okay, and everybody used to sleep. So what used to happen was, in casting, if you cheat the process, they used to reduce the cycle time or make the numbers faster. So once they reduce the cycle time, your quality is going to go for a 6. And we had that data. So we used to always do improvements, but change was never happening. So we realized this is what's happening. In the night shift, 20% parts are always falsely made faster so that they can sleep for 2 hours. We didn't talk to anyone. We put a TV in the shop floor. This is the machine data. It's coming live with the operator name. That's all. 5 days later, automatically everything got streamlined. 5 days. We didn't have to say a word. Our productivity after this system and having this alignment with the team, because they chose the system, they made sure it worked. I'm not saying there were not continuous follow-ups and meetings every day. That will happen. You will have to know, because they know now this is, everybody knows this, right? Once that is acceptable in the system, because you have to tell the people that no one's going to get fired, no one's going to get thrown anywhere. This is the reality where you are. As long as you're willing to fix it, we are with you. But if you're not willing to fix it even after seeing the reality, then there is no option. So that was a very clear answer, that for 6 to 8 months, as long as data is coming transparently, nobody says a word to you. Nobody's job is at risk, nothing. So after a year and a half of this head banging on the head for this system to start, we started, right? Initial advantage, we went from 33 to about, this is, I'm showing you machining, right? And this is in August, he's given data for 15 days or something. Anyway, so it was just a snapshot from a previous presentation. But this is live, and now this is incentivized, right? On how well you do, every person gets money separately, individually, or as a group, or as a plant within the organization. Okay. So we went from 34%, 32%, sorry, to as good as 86 in a matter of 9 months. Okay. Now I'll go back to slide 2. You see these numbers? This was our growth rate in COVID after being off for a month and a half. We grew 6% and our EBITDA went up to 15%. Okay. Earlier, every year was 3 to 4%, EBITDA single digits. Then next year, 21-22, we grew 61% in 1 year. And our EBITDA came down, of course, with that growth we had to manage. But then next year, our growth came down because we are managing. Our EBITDA grew up. And then last year, our whole focus was to bring the EBITDA back to the original levels of 21. So we worked on that. This is for you to see. And then this year, our growth is about 24%. And our EBITDA is about 15.5 is what we're targeting right now. Okay. So all this happened also because of one reason. Okay. Which is point number 3, which is the alignment that I was talking about. Alignment and sustainability. Okay. During 1819, with all of this happening, and for us to realize that to come out of a loop, you have to do something different. So we filed for these patents in 2019. Okay. We got these patents after 4 years, just recently, one in 2023 and one in 2024. And for us to spend this money, if we probably wouldn't have succeeded, we probably wouldn't have a company. I probably wouldn't be standing here, right? So we did this, and we had no option. So everybody was, at it, that we have to get this done. So we did. Now, how did we choose these projects? Somebody would ask. Like, ye sir, aapko sote idea hai, kya hua? So you travel, you meet your customers. Next point is, to have a good business, you have to have a relationship with your customer. If you don't have a close relationship with your customer, you never know what they really want, and you'll never know how to deliver to them. or how will you exceed their expectations? I think that was the biggest learning that we had, right? And through these projects came out because there were technologies that people were either importing, or there were technologies that were being used outside the world in developed countries that had a scope here but were never looked into, or always had a scope but nobody had the wherewithal to actually do it. So we had to be different from our competitors. So we found a way. So we got these, and we got this here. Then the alignment was, so in 2019 we joined a cluster with ACMA called the HR cluster. Before that, all the clusters had been about machines and productivity and quality, right? Of course, in the beginning you always talk about alignment and employee engagement, but the actual engagement happens then. So what we did was, we redid our vision, mission, and core values. And ESG policy, of course, was added in 2021. But all this was made where? So this was not made alone. First of all, this was made with the team, with all our stakeholders who are there in our morning meeting at 9:30 every day. So this was done then, okay? And the biggest goal we wanted to have in our mission statement was, if you see point number 5 on the left top, is to twofold growth in the next 3 years, and which we did. We in fact did 2.5, right? But we did it because this was a common goal which was made together, right, with the team. So we did all of this, and then we realized that how do we differentiate ourselves from everybody else who's manufacturing, I would say, is because we will leverage technology, not just for our customer, but for us and for our people. So that was the idea. And so that our customer gets a good product all the time, and he doesn't have to think about it. So every time you discuss, you only discussed of cost, because quality is a given. That was the idea, right? And being a smaller company, if we were ahead in technology, that already gives us an advantage. Because whoever comes to you and he says, you have all the data everywhere live, and I ask you for data and you give it to me in 5 minutes, why would I go to anybody else? Because he knows it's not cooked. It is what it is. And that's what happened. Transparency brings the biggest change. All our data live is updated every month, okay? And it's not updated. It's actually taken from one place and printed in a place. We have a information center where all the data is displayed together for anybody to see. It's open. So any of our customer comes in, he says all our company metrics in a room, live. And he has questions, ye kaise ho gaya, ye acha kyun nahi, kharab kyun nahi? We have answers. Simple. Because we are working on it, so we have answers, right? So this is the alignment we did during that cluster. And we did various other activities, including, biggest thing for us was absenteeism. We had 15% absenteeism in our plant. We've got it down to 6.5. And it's a continuous process, and it's still a work in process. Then we did another system for alignment, which is, we have our dailies, weeklies, and monthlies to the T. Okay. Our daily is 30 minutes, not 1 hour, not 45 minutes, 30 or less. And we know what every department has to show for the previous day, and it's done at 10. If anybody has to discuss something, it's done after the meeting is over, because there is no nonsense to be taken. And everybody there is at 9:30 or at 9:35. At 9:36 500 रुपए का फाइन है, और वो 500 रुपए से सब समोसे खाएंगे. It's not to criticize, it's just to have a system in place so that that, so people wait, आज कौन late आएगा, आज कौन late आएगा. Okay, so we do that. And the weeklies are not done as a team, the weeklies are done independently. Okay, the weeklies we have are in a department sheet on a Google sheet. If you see on your left top, if you see, there are various sheets in the bottom, and these are all transparent for all other departments to see that they're not the only ones working. Everybody else is also. Because everybody says ना, जब increment होता है, सर मैंने तो इतना काम किया, हाँ वो तो करता ही नहीं है, तो देख लो, रोज दिखता है, ठीक है? And these are reviewed weekly, and whatever is done a green. Whoever does it late has a different color, and whoever does not do it, then they have a earful, because it's independently, it's not in front of anyone. Only then they get a earful. So if you want to condemn someone, don't do it in public. I think it's very demeaning, but it still happens, and you have to hold yourself back to not do it. And I still lose it at times, but I'm working on it. Maybe I was losing it 4 out of 10. Now maybe I lose it 0.5. Okay. So, but you have to work on it. It's a muscle you have to develop. Okay. Then then we have all our KRAs, KPIs. So this is a one department. This is their monthly MIS form. This is done in front of everyone because whatever is green, nobody's bothered. Whatever's orange, you do your that 335W1H whatever. Basically, you come up with a reason and you fix it, right? And whatever's going to be red, okay, these are cultural problems. They're not going to go away so quickly. So that is something we leave it for the time being, right? These are long-term goals. So for us, Pokayokes take time. So that means that's something that maybe I have to drive, my father has to drive because it's a cultural thing. So that's something that we push. So that's different, right? But you'll see eventually what's red is orange, then eventually you keep getting there. So, patience and appreciation to people who are doing well. Appreciation is to be done in front of everyone, okay? Not privately, because that again pushes them. So what we do now is now moving into the things that we do and what we did in COVID. So I'll quickly explain this. I don't know how much time do I have. 2 minutes? Quickly. Okay. So COVID, we had 1.5 months. That 1.5 months we used for complete alignment. We used to talk to everyone in the morning for half an hour and in the evening, afternoon for 2 hours to just get feedback. What's going on? What do you think we can fix to improve? And in COVID, it was a point that we actually gone to two separations. One was nasty, one was pure, one was smooth. Uh, During that time, it was a part that we had just separated from the Chacha's family, and we had done that, and now it was just us, and this happened 20 days before COVID. So it was like a make or break time for us again. So there was a lot of alignment, which really helped. And even the operator, so every supervisor was given a task to align with 10 operators. So they made sure that whoever's either stuck or needs money or something, it was all taken care of so that they know that the company is taking care and everybody is, bottom to top is, aligned. So we did that. And after that, we made sure that whatever work was told was done as soon as we opened in COVID. So all these improvements happened. And the biggest thing was we started planning better. We started planning 3 years. We started planning 5 years. Then every year, the expenditure budget and the goals and the sale was made in Jan for the next year. So right now, my goal is that we are shortfall in sales in 26, 27. So I have to work on it, right? So I'm working on 26, 27, not today, not tomorrow. Okay. So you eventually have to get there. It will not happen today. It will not happen tomorrow. But it's a long-term goal in sight. Okay. Then next thing, very important, is craft your role. Eventually, when you get there, okay, use your calendar wisely. Make sure that you have your own daily, weeklies, and monthlies so that you don't sway away from your path, which is a very important factor. And then keep yourself in check so that you can distribute your time properly and keep aligning with your family all the time. That's very important. For me, my calendar is the biggest thing. And I daily write down my own reflection and my own review daily without fail. Because otherwise I don't know where I am, right? And I plan for the week, and how I plan for the week goes on my calendar. If something's missed, it transfers on my calendar or in my weekly schedule. That's how I plan, right? Let's just zoom in. So there's just some things that maybe will resonate with you. So 5 things in the end I like to end with. Perseverance and belief in yourself. Okay, that's one thing that you really need to hold on. Find your niche and stick to it. Don't run after the next bright shiny thing. Okay, because that will sway you like nobody's business. If you're not stable, your team to forget it. Okay, use technology to make everyone's life simpler, not harder. Okay, work with your customer and your team to find the right solutions for your growth. Okay, both customer and team. And most important, which people often neglect, know your finances and cost structure. If you don't know that, you don't know what you're making money with, what you're losing money. So with that, thank you.
This or the computer? So good afternoon, everyone. I think the context has been set very nicely by Pratham, Rajiv ji, and Tushar. And just I was just thanks to Rajiv, I met Tushar after 24 years today. We both are from the same batch, same school, and he was talking about morning meetings. So I was like, इसको देख के तो नहीं लगता कि ज़्यादा समोसे खाता होगा, right? So I'm going to talk about wealth management, families in business or business families. The concept which was shared very nicely with Pratham. I don't know if he's still here or not. So strategic options for unlocking family wealth. I'm going to talk about very broadly first that when you talk about wealth, you all think about money. But this is from an article from 2003. Also building on what Rajiv said, the self part of the business. So there are 6 pieces of wealth, which business owners, like some of you said that you're going to join the family business, looking to get the next generation involved. The spiritual capital, the financial capital, human capital, family capital, structural capital, social capital. Um, I'll just talk a bit about both of them. Today's topic, in deep, I will only go in financial capital, which everyone is here for. But when you go in the family business, these are all very important things. Spiritual capital, like I guess from Tushar, what he was saying that till he understood what is the purpose in the business or something, business was not making sense. Family business was still running for 50 or 60 years. One conversation with his mother, changed that. Not with the people who were more active in the business. Um, Spiritual capital talks about the mission, the values, foundation, the relationships with each other. Financial capital, as all of you would know, the money which you have, what you are going to do with it, what is the purpose of that money, can you spend it, can you not spend it, how much you have. uh, Human capital, like when you're working in the family business, what relationships you have, what are the people which have been there in the business, who've been there for many decades in the family business, other relationships, the family capital. uh, is the family cohesive, is everybody connected? Pratham spoke about it, Rajiv spoke about it, siblings, cousins, is everyone getting along or not, in the business, outside the business, when you're meeting at a get together. And very rightly, some of those conflicts may go back to the childhood, not anything to do with the current day to day. The structural capital, which I think that Pratham alluded to, that after being in the business for third generation, the family finally made a constitution. What structures are there? Can family members be part of it or not? Can in-laws be part of it or not? So all these are things which you inherit as a next generation business leader. Some of us may take that things for granted, that it takes a lifetime for a company to build. So we don't uh, truly appreciate the value of all those things. It may look that this machine is not working, but somebody took a lot of blood, sweat, tears to put that machine in place. Fixing is the next part, but putting it was very hard. uh, Social capital, your family may have, or from the work they are doing in the society, they might be very well respected. So a lot of customers may open doors, banking may become easier. You don't know, right? All things happen. Uh, so broadly, these are 6 broad dimensions of wealth. I'm very happy that Masters Union and the team, Rajiv ji and everyone is coming together with this program, and I hope and wish all the best to everyone here. Uh, Family businesses, at least when I was still in my college, it was not very sexy to join your family business. सबको ही लगता था ये बकवास है, बाकी सब सही है, right? Everything else is good. MNC में I have to go. family business bakwas hai. Aap jo kar rahe ho, I will do anything else except this, right? But hard numbers speak, right? 75% of family-owned businesses contribute to the GDP. Majority of the listed companies in India worldwide are family-owned. That is huge. Uh, the returns which they give are twice as high as other companies, because at the end of the day, families still have majority ownership. Everybody else is minority shareholders, right? So you're in a sense giving growth and result to yourself. If that concept is clear, it becomes very easy to monetize value. If the founder or the family still has that perspective that why should I give growth and do funny stuff, then the business will die. Like Pratham was saying that the third generation kills the business or whatever. So he has a lot of pressure on his hand. Uh, when you do become a family like that, you have family offices. So as you see from the slide, the number of family offices has gone up, where companies are realizing the importance of a family office and its importance in managing wealth, taking care of the business, taking care of the family, taking care of the founders. Of course, these are terms which you all will learn when you go deeper in the course at a later stage. Uh, the family-owned businesses, on an average, grow 20% more than other peers, generate constant positive return because, like I said, they're working for themselves, very hard on numbers, at least the first generation founders, and operate on a better margin. Um, my topic today, luckily, is not to grow the capital wealth. That is very hard, very different subject. It's not to preserve, again, very difficult. I am here to speak about unlocking. Unlocking is still comparatively easier because one thing which it assumes is there is some wealth already in the business, right? That's when you can unlock it. Whether the timing is right or not is a separate topic. What options are there is a separate topic, but there is some inherent capital and value in the business which intergenerational folks have built the value over a period of time. This broadly reflects my view on being in a family business. Some people who inherit may take it as, ye to was my entitlement or was my good luck. Some, treat it like a responsibility. I really like this quote, which I was reading in a book 2, 3 days ago, that every man is a bridge spanning the legacy he inherited and the legacy he passes on. Meaning, when you're in the family business, your job is, to take the business, hopefully not kill it, pass it on in a better stage to the next generation. Enjoy the fruits, of course. Enjoy the money. Um, but that's broadly my view also. I'll go into these 6 options, and I know my session is last before the lunch, so I will go over them quickly, just to give you an idea, what the options are. All of them are very complex subjects. Hidden value monetization. Sometimes families have real estate which they don't know what to do about, but it is there. Nobody wants to sell it. Somebody bought it 30 years ago. Now, if you're in a business family and you've joined, like maybe Tushar did or like I did, and you come up with the idea, I'm from a typical Punjabi family, you will not be spoken to in a nice way, right? You will be spoken in a very high pitch, all the nice words, A, B, C, D, right? And you will think about next time when I have to give that kind of an idea. Leveraging partnerships and private equity. A business has to be ready for it. Partnerships or a merger with somebody, getting a private equity like a co-owner with you. You have to be very transparent. And I am, seeing Tushar's presentation, I realized why I can't be in manufacturing. The granular detail you want to go into, and I was just talking with him that the only sector I failed is automobile, because I eventually from a service I ended up being in manufacturing. And the day I realized, I said, boss, stop loss, let me get out of it. Um, IPOs, SME IPOs. SME IPOs is a very interesting topic. Started 10 years ago. Huge wealth has been created in this. Um, business restructuring, uh, diversification or unlocking into new markets, and legacy repositioning. Broadly, 6 topics. And I see Abhijit there. I Escorts, everyone has heard about, very respected name in the family businesses as a corporate house. Started in 1944, before partition. Then two brothers were running the business. Then there was a family partition. Uh, Most of us here, have heard the name Escorts, and would have also gone or heard about the Escorts Hospital, which is close to New Friends Colony, which was started by them. So in 2005, the family ended up divesting that and monetizing, which was a classic case of they started the hospital. I don't know when, with what intentions, it's like with all good intentions, like a society. But at some point of time, Escorts itself went through a turnaround. People who might recall it was not doing too well at that point of time, I guess. Somebody in the family took the decision that boss, ये hospital को निकालना है, right? And they ended up selling it for 650 crores in 2005. Big money today, not small then also. Uh, Market cap today is 39,000 crores. They ended up doing like a buyout with a Japanese fund, I think few years back, 44% they bought. But a very classic example of how value is hidden in these family businesses. You're running a manufacturing business, कहीं पे आपने plant खरीद लिया है, then you move the plant and the land is just sitting there. So I found this example to be very interesting. Second example, I don't know if you've heard of Center for Sight. If anyone has, uh, me and Tushar were talking about LASIK. I did not get my done here, but at their competitor. But a great business Dr. Mahipal has built. Uh, Founded about 30 years or 28 years ago. The next generation is, or multiple members of the family are there. This year, earlier this year, they ended up doing a buyout of the previous investors of 800 crores at a good multiple. Uh, when we think of family business, it started as a normal clinic, I'm guessing 30 years ago, and all good stories to go deep into for all the people who come for this course, to invite the founder, hear from them firsthand, how day by day, being in the boring business, seeing 50, 100 patients every day, so much value has been built. And now they are, unlocking that value by selling it or getting private equity in the business. I will spend some time on this particular topic because I know some people might be interested. Vari, have people heard about Vari? Anyone? Right. Correct. It was a recent, but the family started this business in 1990. Vari has 3 listed companies now. First parent company or whatever was listed in early 90s. The second IPO came in 2012. It was Vari Renewable Technologies, which was a SME IPO. IPO is when you are opening up your company, typically shareholders are family members or closely held. You open it up and offer a piece of paper that, okay, you can own. By giving 100 rupees, you can become a co-owner. And when you go for an IPO, anybody can ask a question. You cannot say, ki, boss, you only have 100 shares. How the hell do you ask me this question? You're opening up your books. Like in the financial industry, we say कि जब IPO में जा रहे हो आपकी बारात निकलती है, right? Everyone will come, all questions will happen, सारी due diligence होएगी, इधर उधर पता किया जाएगा. Anything you've done, if you have skeletons to hide, please don't go for an IPO. There are many scary stories. Vari came up with a SME IPO in 2012. SME IPO में the basic criteria is when you go for a main board IPO, the bigger IPOs, you need to have more than 25 crores of paid up capital, more than 15 crores of average profit for last 3 years. SME IPO 2010 में कभी ये नया framework would have come in 2012. BSC, NSE came up with these platforms. Anybody who had track record of 3 years and profitability and cash flow positive in 2 of those 3 years could go for an SME IPO. The smallest SME IPO I have seen is 1 crore. You can imagine the scale. It is not that a Geo or a Tata or a Hyundai is coming. Anybody, right? For example, BTW. Like, has anyone heard of BTW? Bittu Tiki wala pehle hota tha. BTW ho gaya, right? It's a big business now, right? BTW or anybody, any small business can come for these IPOs, and they have been wealth generators. Uh, it needs a shift in mindset that you are going in for an SME IPO, you need to be audited, you need to be open, financials are open for everyone. And look at this company. This came at 22 rupees. This today at 1400. I don't know if you can see, very small. It came at a face value of 10 rupees. Is today at a face value of 2. So 5 times मतलब split हो गया, so 1400 का 7000 whatever हो गया. This is given so much wealth. And I don't know how the pointer works, but till about 3-4 years ago, was trading at 60-70 rupees, and in last 4-5 years has come to 1400. 200 times this alone company has given wealth to the Doshi family and to the shareholders. They came up with the third IPO this year, which you were referring to, which was a main board IPO. When people talk about Wari, सबको ये लगता है कि सारे बड़े IPOs थे, but this was a small IPO from a known business family. Many promoters think that ISME IPO है, मैं तो नहीं लाऊंगा because I don't want, मैं तो 500 crore का IPO लाऊंगा सीधा. But their companies are not ready. So it needs a very different mindset. There's a company, Share India. I don't know if anyone has heard of it or not. They came up with an IPO, less than 100 crores market cap. Today it is 6,500 crore market cap. They've ended up merging a lot of companies. SME IPO is again a very good tool for founders, for families to generate wealth, to unlock wealth. Again, this is a company, I don't know if people have heard of Red Tape or not. Used to be, very popular, still is. But like when we were in school, I guess Red Tape was a big name. We probably would be wearing Red Tape. It's a very interesting family from Kanpur. 4 brothers, they run the business. Mirza International was their listed company. Very nice family, very sorted. I think has all the constitutions or all those things written. What they did last year was very interesting. Mirza International was typically trading at a 1,500 crore, 2,000 crore valuation. Last year, they split the businesses, restructured. They had 3 businesses. One was Mirza International, which is the tannery business, where all the tannery stuff happens, and then they were doing white labeling for export. Red Tape, and 2 other brands they have, which were selling to the consumer. And third was design. They segregated these businesses, and look at what magic has happened. Market cap today is combined, both of them is around 12,000 crores. This is in last 1 year. And as a normal manufacturing business family, I've happened to spend some time with them. They were one of my neighbors when I was in another part of Delhi. But a very typical family from Kanpur, living in Delhi, manufacturing, etc. And what wealth they have created, not only for the family, but for all the shareholders. Many such examples you will see. And very good to follow whenever a family goes through a demerger or a restructuring. There's always a reason, right? Reliance, like I was asked, Reliance, Tata, Dabur, all these big names, you will find a lot of examples that we all look up. But these are all smaller companies, big now, but on a relative scale, smaller companies, right? So always look out for these kind of situations, special situations. When a promoter family is doing a demerger or a restructuring, there has to be a bigger game. They are not doing for the love of anyone. They are going to be the biggest beneficiary. We could not find example for this particular slide for a small or a smaller company, but just to give an idea, like that, Reliance, the previous generation learned a lesson. Now, they have set up 3 separate businesses for 3 children of equal or equalish scale and equalish opportunity. There was a saying in one of our programs that some lessons have to be experienced before they are learned. Right? So the the current chairman learned a lesson because of Mukesh and Anil's whatever happened after their father passed away, and has made sure that the family constitution is there. 3 बच्चे हैं मेरे बॉस, तीनों के लिए बराबर का business opportunity, ताकि बाद में सब all the cousins and siblings can play a match together, right, and not fight with each other. Today is the first time I have heard about, I mean, I'm coming to Masters Union. I found this to be also a very interesting story. Uh, I heard about Masters Union not more than maybe 6 months ago. Um, what a interesting repositioning Masters Union has done. From like what Pratham was sharing the story, from the mithai shop to a lovely professional university, which has a very different reputation, and Masters Union has a very different reputation. We were on a call 2 days back, and somebody said, "Yaar, आपको interns चाहिए? Why don't you take from Masters Union?" People were in New York. I don't know how they know about Masters Union. Why they were recommending us to take interns from Masters Union? I said, "Okay, ठीक है, ठीक है. Maybe वहाँ पे किसी को जानते हैं. चलो ठीक है यार, वहाँ पे बात करेंगे आज." But what an interesting story, right? To unlock wealth and carve your own path. Uh, Broadly, this gives you an idea. Many more examples. Bikaji Namkeen, Relaxo Chappal, Neel Kamal chair, Harvest Gold bread, everyday products which we use. Who can imagine Relaxo is a 15,000 crore company today? Right? हम लोग customers हैं भी कि नहीं मुझे पता नहीं है, but India है या भारत है, whichever way you want to refer. Spend a minute on challenges. It's not very easy, and not enough time to go into a lot of depth why you should go for one option versus the other. Governance structure is very important. How the business is to be run. Generation gap, which some of the Rajiv and Pratham, everyone alluded to. एक जनरेशन दूसरे का सुनेगा नहीं सुनेगा, वो बचपन में कुछ हुआ था वो आज आ गया, चाचा जी ने कुछ बोल दिया था वो आज आ गया, right? Which has nothing to do with the business, but often it will sow the seeds of a business dispute that मुझे इस फंक्शन पे इनवाइट नहीं किया बॉस, बाकी चीजें देख लेंगे, राइट? एक कॉल तो बनती थी, राइट? Temptation of wealth. Many families, in order to diversify, have killed the main business. Sometimes not doing anything is also good or a better option. You have to time it also. Risk management. Are you only in one country? Are you only in one business? And transparency, right? Everyone knows everything. If one part of the family business is just focused on taking money away, no wealth can be unlocked. Everyone has to be aligned. There is no one size fits all. And as a next generation business leader or owner or whatever, it's a big responsibility when you're joining the business. So I'll just add with this, end with this slide, to all the Spider-Man fans. With great power comes great responsibility, and I hope that everyone spends the time and learns about how to manage their wealth. Get yourself equipped to handle the business you are going to lead one day. Thank you. Mm. Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone. Just a second. Yeah. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a chance to connect and enjoy your lunch. We're now entering one of the most exciting segments of the conclave, an immersive session. At Masters Union, experiential learning is our cornerstone. We believe in learning business by doing business. This session embodies that spirit, offering hands on insights from four incredible leaders. Let me start by introducing our first speaker, Mr. Raman Kumar Sharma. With over 40 years of leadership experience at Honda Cars and various top Indian corporations, he has played a pivotal role in shaping the industry. His most recent position was Senior Vice President and Director at Honda Cars, and he currently serves as a board member for the Automotive Skills Development Council, NIT Delhi, and Punjab Technical University. He is also an alumnus of IIT Kharagpur and IIM Ahmedabad. Next, I'm excited to introduce Mr. Tarun Malik, a seasoned leader with more than 25 years of experience in technology and innovation. Tarun has held key leadership roles at industry giants like Microsoft, AWS, and several startups. He is the founder of Zaystack, a company specializing in digital technology and AI, and has deep expertise in product management. Tarun is also an alumnus of Harvard Business School. And now, please join me in welcoming Mr. Avishkar Mehrotra. With over 25 years of leadership experience, Mr. Mehrotra served as the CHRO of Walmart and has since founded NeoNavigate and co-founded Think Unique Solutions. He is also a certified executive coach and an alumnus of Harvard Business School. We're also happy to have Mr. Rajiv Gupta back with us for this session. Together, they will guide you through actionable frameworks and tools that you can immediately apply to your family business. This segment is designed to be highly interactive, so we encourage everyone to participate and exchange ideas. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Rajiv Gupta.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome. So, we purposely kept a session where you can't do the most dreaded thing. Okay, I'll not say what it is. Okay, so here's a QR code. So I'm sure there's something that none of us can live without. So please bring it out, please scan it, and then see what's the magic happening on your phone. Now, anybody who's not able to scan it, so getting some poll, some questions. Okay, so let's move ahead. Okay, so in the morning, we talked about direction of the business. Little bit how that dream will be achieved and defining that what little bit more granular. For example, if you can quickly see, you'll understand the broad difference between vision and mission. Okay, so vision is more dreamy, like out there in the future, and mission is little bit of calm, but more of more granular thought. Okay, so that's what it is. And yes, let's have a quick poll. Can you see the question? Okay. So does your organization have a clearly defined and communicated vision, mission, and values? Oh, I love this. It looks like, I don't invest in stocks, but if I did, I would get a heart attack. I thought I was winning. Suddenly I'm the loser. Exactly, yes. So, All of us who are in business, somewhat or other, it will not happen. Right? So 70% of the companies here in this room, either don't have it and also have. Something is there, but what is it? And please see the words there, clearly defined, communicated. And when we say define, define in writing. I really talk about my vision mission, not like that. Okay? Next. Now, as they say, vision mission doesn't fill the time. Right? We don't exist for uni states because we have to pay salaries, earn our salaries, run our household, and of course, all of us. I would say India in general is beyond roti kapra and makan, but the other stuff is kind of as important. So, for doing that, what do you need? You need to convert this mission into first 3-year rolling plan. So, what is a rolling plan? You make it now for next 3 years, and then next year you make it for next 3 years, and then next year you make it for next 3 years. So, for example, we are sitting now in 24, 25. I'm making it for 25 to 28. But when I go in April of 25, I can change some of the numbers of that next financial year, right? Because it's not so easy to accurately forecast for 3 years. So it's a rolling plan. And if you see over there, I don't think this will work. So I've just given 3 examples there. Let's say revenue increased by so much, EBITDA increased by so much, and operations. Now that next thing is that 3-year thing has to be broken into 1-year plan. So should this also be rolling? Any ideas? Should this be rolling or fixed? It would have to be fixed. Anybody who feels it can also be rolling? How can I predict in April what will happen in December? So this in general should be fixed. Otherwise, I miss my target. I reduce my target. April we thought we'll do so much. By the time we are in September, we reduce it in December, reduce it further in January, reduce it further. No. This should generally be firm, and many companies, say it's cast in stone. Whatever the conditions, this is the plan, this is the budget you have to achieve. Now, 1-year firm plan is more about the organization. But who will achieve this number? Somebody has to achieve this number, right? Who's that? The people. So this 1-year plan has to be broken down into KPIs. So 3, 5, 8. That's how we just showed it. KPIs can be more. It can be different for your production line, different for your sales line, different for your quality, for your HR, for your design team. Some parameters can be common and some will be unique. So this kind of a breakdown from where did we start from? Mini state to something more concrete, then more. And this KPI will determine, okay, whether you are going to shed tears at the time of appraisal or you're going to have the last laugh. Is it clear? There has to be a clear linkage. It should not be the case, which will be in subsequent sessions, that no matter what I achieve, there's no correlation between KPI achievement and your, sort of financial rewards. Now, I also thought, let me put this slide also, just for clarity. This is a little bit of, gyan, but still important to know. So, the purpose of a company, is the why. And values is the things or, conditions under which you will operate. For example, integrity, respect for people, innovation culture, empowering people, customer orientation. Okay, so this is the whole piece. The only point I wanted to make over here is that you will keep dreaming whatever you want to dream, but it has to be broken into very specific and quantifiable number that I, as an employee of this company, needs to deliver. Okay, so let's do one more survey. Partially 100%. So it's not moving. So does anybody need a course, to fix the things in their company? From the previous question and this question, I think you already have your answers. Vision, 70% is like this. And here, it's 90%.